Tech Pod. You ever get that feeling like no matter how much you try to protect yourself online, there's always some new crazy threat coming out of the woodwork?
Oh yeah, all the time. It feels like a never-ending battle.
Right. Like you're barely keeping your head above water and then bam, some new hack comes along that just makes you want to chuck your whole computer out the window.
It's enough to make anyone paranoid.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Well, today we're diving into one of those threats that seriously got me worried. It's this thing called a perpetual hack, and it's targeting Google Ads, which, as you know, is kind of a big deal for a lot of businesses.
Yeah, Google Ads is pretty much the backbone of online advertising these days, so a hack like this is definitely cause for concern.
Absolutely. Our main source for this deep dive is this article from Forbes. Google Perpetual Hack, Attack Steals Passwords, and 2FA Act now.
Catchy title.
Right. It definitely grabbed my attention. So let's unpack this thing and figure out what's going on.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
Okay, so the article doesn't sugarcoat it. They're calling this a self-perpetuating machine of hacking, which sounds pretty terrifying.
It's a pretty accurate description, to be honest. The way this hack works is it basically turns the Google Ads system against itself.
Okay, that sounds bad,
Mm-hmm.
but how does it actually work? I mean, we've all heard about phishing scams and stolen passwords, but there's got to be more to it than that, right?
You're right. It's way more sophisticated than just stealing your password. These attackers, they're creating these fake Google Ads login pages that are so convincing they're almost indistinguishable from the real thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Like pixel-perfect copies?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're basically cloning the entire login page, so even someone who's usually pretty careful could easily get fooled.
So what happens if you do fall for it and enter your password on one of these fake pages? I mean, I know that's bad, but are they just after the password, or is there something else going on here?
So they're definitely after your password, but it's actually not the main target. What
Yeah.
they really want are your session cookies and unique identifiers.
Session cookies. Unique identifiers. Those sound kind of technical. Can you break those down for us?
Sure, think of it this way. Your password is like the key to your front door. It gets you into your account.
Okay, that makes sense.
But session cookies and unique identifiers, they're like the keys to everything inside your house, your car, your safe deposit box, all that valuable stuff.
So basically, once they have those, they can just waltz in and take over your entire Google Ads account.
Pretty much, they essentially become you in the eyes of Google. They can access your campaigns, control your ads, drain your budget, you name it.
So it's not just like they're stealing your car, they're taking over your whole life.
Exactly. And here's the really scary part. Once they've hijacked your account, they can then use it to spread the attack to other people.
Wait, so they're using your account to attack other people. How does that work?
They'll start serving malicious ads from your account, so anyone who clicks on them becomes the next victim.
It's like a digital chain reaction.
Exactly. And that's why it's called a perpetual hack, because it just keeps going and feeding itself with new victims.
Wow, that's seriously messed up. No wonder. The guy who uncovered the Jerome Segura from Malwarebytes called it the most egregious malvertising operation he's ever tracked.
He's seen a lot of bad stuff over the years, so that's really saying something.
Yeah, this is definitely not your average phishing scam. This is next level stuff.
Absolutely. We're talking about potential financial ruin for businesses and even the possibility of spreading malware that could cripple entire systems.
Okay, wow, we've definitely gone from concerning to full-blown panic attack territory.
Yeah.
So what is Google doing about this? They have to be doing something to fight back, right?
Oh, they are definitely fighting back. Google's not just sitting there twiddling their thumbs while this is happening.
Okay, good, because I was starting to get a little worried there.
I mean, it's a serious threat for sure, but Google's taking it seriously too. The Forbes article we're looking at mentions all the stuff they're doing to combat these kinds of attacks, like enforcing strict ad policies and having these teams that are constantly monitoring for violations.
So they're like the digital police patrolling the internet streets looking for bad guys.
Pretty much, and they're actually catching a ton of them. The article says they're removing billions of bad ads every year.
Billions.
Hmm.
That's a lot of bad ads. But hold on, if they're catching that many, why is this perpetual hack still a thing? It seems like they're just playing whack-a-mole here.
That's the frustrating part. It's a constant arms race. These hackers are always finding new ways to get around Google's defenses.
Listen, how are they doing that? What's their secret weapon?
Well, one tactic they're using is just sheer volume. The article mentions that they're creating thousands of Google Ads accounts simultaneously.
Thousands. Seriously.
Yep. It's like trying to track a swarm of bees. They're just overwhelming the system with so many accounts that it's hard to keep up.
Sneaky but effective, I guess. So what else are they doing besides just flooding the system with accounts?
They're also getting really clever with their ad content itself, trying to make it look as legitimate as possible.
Like how?
Well, one way is by manipulating the text in their ads to bypass Google's automated detection systems.
So they're like finding loopholes in the code.
Exactly. They'll use things like subtle misspellings or visually similar characters to fool the algorithms that are scanning for bad ads.
It's like they're speaking a secret language that only the computers understand.
And then there's this thing called cloaking, which is particularly sneaky.
Cloaking? What's that? Sounds like something out of Star Trek.
Kind of. It basically involves showing one thing to Google's reviewers and then something completely different to regular users who click on the ad.
Wait, how is that even possible?
Mhm.
Isn't Google checking what these ads actually look like before they approve them?
They are, but these hackers have figured out ways to trick the system. They can use techniques that show different content based on your IP address or browser settings.
So Google's seeing a perfectly harmless ad, but then regular users are getting hit with something malicious.
Exactly. It's like a digital bait and switch.
Man, these guys are good. I'm starting to feel like we're totally outmatched here.
It's definitely a challenge, but Google's not giving up. They're constantly updating their defenses and trying to stay one step ahead.
So it's a never-ending battle of wits between the good guys and the bad guys.
That's a pretty good way to put it. But here's the thing. While it's fascinating to talk about all the technical details, I think what our listeners really want to know is what they can do to protect themselves.
You're right, we've painted a pretty bleak picture here. So let's shift gears and talk about some practical steps people can take to stay safe.
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, knowing about the threat is one thing, but actually being able to protect yourself is what really matters.
Absolutely. And luckily, the guy who uncovered this whole thing, Jerome Segura, he actually offers some solid advice in the article.
Oh, that's good. So he doesn't just drop this bombshell and then leave us all to fend for ourselves. Yeah.
Exactly. He's got our backs. So his number one tip is to be super wary of those sponsored ad results. You know, the ones that pop up at the top of your search results.
Yeah, we've all seen those. And honestly, I've gotten so used to them that I sometimes just click without even thinking. Right. And that's exactly what these hackers are counting on. Those top results could very well be the ones leading to those fake login pages we were talking about.
So basically, don't just blindly click on the first thing you see, even if it looks like a legit Google ad.
Exactly. Take a moment to think before you click. And another thing he recommends is to always double check the URL before you click on anything.
A URL. You mean the website address?
Yep, make sure it actually matches what you're expecting. Is it really google.com or is it something like google.com with an extra O or some other sneaky variation?
Oh, wow. I can see how that would be easy to miss if you're not paying close attention.
Right, these hackers, they're masters of disguise, so you got to be extra vigilant.
It's like those scam emails where everything looks perfect except for one tiny detail that's off.
That's a good analogy. And speaking of security basics, we can't forget about the importance of two-factor authentication.
Good old 2FA. It's like the seatbelt to the internet.
Exactly. It might be a little bit of a hassle to set up, but it adds a whole extra layer of protection to your account.
And these days, with all the crazy threats out there, it's definitely worth the extra effort.
Absolutely. And one last thing to keep in mind, all this stuff we're talking about, it's not just for businesses running Google Ads campaigns. Anyone with a Google account, which is pretty much everyone these days, needs to be taking these precautions.
Right. This perpetual hack is just one example of the kind of threats that are out there. It's a reminder that online security is everyone's responsibility.
Couldn't agree more. We can't just rely on Google or any other platform to protect us completely. We have to be proactive and take steps to safeguard our own accounts and data.
So basically, be aware, be cautious, and don't be afraid to ask questions or seek out information if something seems fishy.
That's the best advice I can give you. Knowledge is power, especially in the world of cybersecurity.
Well said. This whole perpetual hack thing is definitely a bit unsettling, but it's also a good reminder to stay vigilant and keep our security practices up to date.
I agree. It's a wake-up call, but it's also an opportunity to learn and improve.
It's exactly. And on that note, we're going to wrap things up here. But as always, if you want to stay informed about the latest tech and security news, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Contact Pod for more deep dives like this one. Until next time, stay safe out there.